Hello everyone and welcome back to Zaki Educational channel. So this is the part 13 for the unit wise syllabus preparation for the UGC NET Environmental Science exam, and we are dealing with the hydrosphere and unit 1 we are covering now. So if you haven't checked the previous part, I have given the link in the description. You can go and check it out. So without much delay, let's get started. So in the last video we had discussed about the zones of the oceans and the hydrosphere. So today we will be discussing very important topic with the important terms which you had never heard of. Yes, बहुत important होने वाला है. Kindly take out your notes and note down all these things. So four things I will be telling you: that epipelagic zone, which is known as the sunlight zone, its characteristic feature; mesopelagic zone, which is known as twilight zone; bathypelagic zone, abysopelagic zone, and the hadopelagic or hadal pelagic zone. So let's move on to the next slide. So in this slides, this is divided the zones into photic and aphotic. Photic means photons, जहाँ पे light मिलता है, and aphotic means absence of photons, that is absence of light. So you should remember these things while we'll go to the next slides. These things are the sunlit zone. Epipelagic zone is known as sunlit zone, which is having the light. But apart from that, twilight zone is having very less amount of light, or we can say it is also aphotic, but the aphotic zone actually starts from the dark zone, that is bathypelagic, abyssal zone, that is abysopelagic, and hadal zone, that is hadopelagic. So ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, इसको आप लिख लीजिए. चलते हैं एक एक करके पढ़ेंगे. So first thing we will know about, before going deep, let us see the surface of the ocean. So ocean का पहले surface में देखेंगे, फिर ocean के deep में जाएंगे. So the surface layer is the top 1 meter of the ocean. Yes, if this is the ocean, 1 meter को कहेंगे surface layer, the top 1 meter, which is the part of the sunlit zone, which is richest in the nutrient. Nutrient सबसे ज़्यादा होता है surface में. Amino acids, fatty acids, and proteins excreted by plants and animals, they float on this layer, and the oils also they float as from the decomposing bodies of the dead animals. So decompose जब हो जाते हैं dead animals in the ocean, oils also come to the surface layer and they float. Let's move to the next slide. थोड़ा और जान लेते हैं surface layer के बारे में. The next point about surface layer is that the gas exchange, which is very very important, takes place between the ocean and the atmosphere. So इसमें से सबसे important क्या है? Oxygen is dissolved on this surface layer so that other organisms are able to take that oxygen and they respire. Next point is phytoplankton gather here in daylight. So daylight में phytoplanktons they come to the surface portion of the ocean. What? To do the photosynthesis. Yes, they need the plant's life. So they are type of plants, so they need the light, so they come to this surface layer in the daytime to gather the light to make their food, and animal then feed on them. So phytoplanktons are further eaten by zooplankton, small fishes, krills, and large fishes. Next, this layer is highly susceptible to chemical pollution and floating litter, which can be deadly for marine life. So ये जो layer होता है surface layer बहुत susceptible होता है, क्योंकि chemical pollution, all these things, the garbages which are thrown inside the ocean are first interacted with this surface layer, and it is very very deadly for the marine organism. Let's move to the next slide. And here we will start the sunlit zone, जिसे कि हम epipelagic zone कहते हैं. This sunlit zone actually starts from 0 to 200 meter of the ocean. You should note down all these things. Sea water rapidly absorb the sunlight, so only 1% of the light reaches 200 meter below the surface. So 99% जो light जो penetrate करता है वो इसी sunlight zone में concentrate होकर रहता है. Lest only 1% is going below this surface, so that it is called as the aphotic zone, or dark zone starts after the sunlit zone. Next thing is phytoplankton use the light to photosynthesize, as we have discussed, forming the base of the food chain of the ocean. This zone drives all the ocean life because light is present here. So light is important for the photosynthesis, so it drives all the ocean life. More than 90% of all the marine life lives here. So how you will be telling that big fishes and all, they will be inside the ocean, but more than 90% means they're talking about the phytoplankton, zooplankton, small organisms. So that constitute 90% of the all marine organism living in this sunlit zone. Let's move to the next slide and know more about the sunlit zone. So nearly all the red light is absorbed within the 10 meters of this sunlit zone. So red animals look black below this depth. So after this there is no absorption of the red light, so the organisms look black below that. Then thing is the green light penetrates much deeper in clean water to around 100 meters. So these things are also important, very very important and small things, but it will be asked in the exam, that can be asked. And blue light to 200 meters. So सबसे ज़्यादा penetration जो करता है वो होता है blue light, then followed by the green light, then red light is only till the 10 meters. Due to the presence of chlorophyll, phytoplanktons preferentially absorb red and blue portion of the light for the photosynthesis, which is important in case of plants also. So let's move on to the next zone. So before moving to the next zone, I would like to say there are two kinds of sunlit zone. Yes, sunlit zone is one is in clean water and one is in cloudy water. Cloudy water means there is much more turbidity is present, so that makes the sunlit zone cloudy. So in the cloudy water, the sunlit zone is actually very shallower. That means the depth is less in case of the cloudy water, the sunlight zone, because light is absorbed more quickly here and light is not going much deeper because of the turbidity. Next thing is accumulation of phytoplankton and zooplankton in the fertile water absorb sunlight, reducing the depth of the sunlit zone as we have discussed. So from that we know that turbidity is there, less light is penetrating, and in addition these things phytoplanktons, they are utilizing the light, so more the sunlit zone is reduced, the depth of the sunlit zone is more reduced as these phytoplanktons uses the light. So the phytoplankton must stay here during the day to photosynthesize. Zooplanktons follow them to feed, so they also come to the surface to feed the phytoplanktons along with the animals that feed on zooplankton. So धीरे धीरे ये ऊपर की तरफ आते हैं डे टाइम में क्योंकि उनका फूड चेन इंटरलिंक्ड होता है. Let's move to the next slide. So here we will know the nocturnal and diurnal distribution. Nocturnal means the organisms which are active during the night. Diurnal distribution, the organisms which are active in the daytime. So the sunlit zone is dangerous for animals because they become conspicuous to hunters. Yes, sunlit zone light is present, so the predators are finding the way to the light, and it is dangerous for the small organisms because they are easily watched by the predator and they are caught. So many stay in the twilight zone by day and only go up at night. So twilight zone mein most of the organisms they live in order to avoid the predator. So when it will be asked which zone is comfortable for them, you should not mention that the sunlit zone. It will be the twilight zone which is comfortable for the prey in order to avoid the predator. So in this picture you can know that 10% the organism they live in the daytime on the upper surface, that is the sunlit zone, but night time 40% of the organism live in the sunlit zone because there is no light, so there is safe there, so they can stay there as long as they want. But in the daytime only 10% of the organism live and 75% live in the twilight zone because in order to avoid the predator. Let's move to the next slide. Here we will know about the twilight zone. So we are discussing twilight zone रहते हैं organisms to avoid the predator. They are not going to the top zone, that is the epipelagic zone. So this twilight zone is the mesopelagic zone of the ocean and it is having the depth from 200 to 1000 meter, around 1 kilometer. So this is too dark for photosynthesis but just light enough for the animals to see and be seen. So it is not that no light is present. Twilight zone is having the light but not sufficient for the photosynthesis, but enough for the animals to see their path and their small prey or small predators for the small organisms. So many species are almost totally translucent because they have to camouflage in order to avoid the predator and in order to catch the prey. So the next thing is dark color is on the top of the organisms and light color is on the bottom part. So this is all to avoid the predator and prey relationship. Next thing is others are reflective to disguise themselves against the light from the above. So some organisms are reflective, so when the light, that is less light is present, and they are able to reflect that light in order to avoid, to disguise themselves from the light above and to avoid from the predators. So all these things are to avoid the predators. And to cope with dim light, many have large eyes. So as we have known, here there is less light, so what they do, their adaptive feature is they are having large eyes. As you can see, this fish is having so big large eyes, so in order to cope up with the dim light, they are having large eyes. Let's move on to the next slide and know more about the twilight zone. So main source of the food is detritus. So organic matter from the dead organism is the main source of food for the organism living in the twilight zone. Many animals migrate up into the sunlit zone where food is plentiful at night and return to the twilight zone as the sun rises, as we have discussed in that picture. 30% of the total marine biomass make this daily trek. That is the largest migration of life on earth. If the question is asked, so this is the place where 30% of the total marine biomass take this position, this place, that is the twilight zone, which is known as the largest migration of life on earth every day. So some planktonic animals less than 1 millimeter size they migrate to 20 meter, but larger shrimp example, they travel 600 meter each way every day. So for those animals, small organisms, 600 meter each day is also very, very large. Let's move on to the next zone, that is the dark zone, that is the bathypelagic zone, which lies from 1000 to 4000 meter. This thing is important, you should note down the meters where they lies. So almost no light penetrates, because in twilight zone we have read that less light is present only to see the organism, some animals, but here almost no light penetrates, no plants can grow, no phytoplanktons can make their food source, and this thing is only food source is the snow. So this thing I was talking, that term, new term is snow. So in ocean, how come snow will come? So snow is the thing that the waste, that is the excreta from the organic waste, which is coming from the top portion of the ocean, which comes down. This is called, those things are called as snow for the organisms. That means that snow is the food source which is coming from the upper part of the ocean in the form of dead organic matter. So the temperature you should note down, the temperature is 35 to 39 degree Fahrenheit, which is equivalent to 2 to 4 degrees Celsius. Extreme pressure, so only adapted animals can survive because very high pressure is present there. Liquid filled bodies are almost incompressible compared to gas filled bodies of surface living birds and mammals. So on the surface, the birds and the mammals which are present, they are having the gas filled bodies, but here they are liquid filled bodies. Yes, the organism living in these zones are liquid filled bodies, because to cope up with this extreme pressure. Next thing is, only light comes from the bioluminescent animals. So bioluminescent animals are the animals which generate light from their body with the help of one chemical which is known as luciferin, and the enzyme behind is luciferase. So you should note down, luciferase enzyme के वजह से bioluminescence मिलता है animals में, and that is the only light source in this zone. Next thing coming about the abyssal zone, which is known as Abiso-Pelagic zone, and this is lying between 4000 to 6000 meter in depth, which is also called as Abiso-Pelagic. So now next thing is, it is beyond the continental slope. So all these things we have discussed in the previous video. If you haven't checked, you should know that, and you should check that in the description. Continental slope के beyond में abyssal zone मिलता है. Around 30% of the total sea bed, yes, sea bed area lies here, 30% around in this abyssal zone. Animals are typically slow moving to save energy. Yes, energy save करेंगे तभी वो कोप अप कर पाएंगे उस हार्श कंडीशंस को. विदाउट लाइट, स्लो ग्रोइंग एंड लॉन्ग लिव्ड. सो दे आर लॉन्ग लिव, up to 100 years the organisms can live which are present in the abyssal zone, and they conserve energy by waiting for the food to come to them. Many therefore have massive mouths and powerful teeth. They are not having the lunch time, dinner time, so they have to wait in order to get massive amount of food. So they are having massive amount of mouth and the powerful teeth. So shark, whale, ये सब यहीं पे मिलते हैं. They use the tricks to catch prey, bioluminescent lures and other glowing structure. So these bioluminescent lures means they attract the prey in order to catch them. So their glowing light is attracting the prey, and they use this trick to have them as their food. लास्ट जोन के बारे में हम पढ़ेंगे, हेडल जोन, 6000 मीटर एंड अबव हेडल जोन कहते हैं, जिसे हेडोपेलाजिक कहते हैं. Only in few deep ocean trenches they are present. So in every ocean this zone is not present. In few deep ocean trenches this zone is present, and less than 2% of the total sea floor area is covered with this heddle zone. Only 3 human beings have ever visited this zone. Yes, 3 ही आदमी यहाँ पे पहुंच पाए हैं. द एग्जाम्पल इज जेम्स कैमेरॉन, जो कि टाइटैनिक जो मूवी है वो डायरेक्ट किए थे. वो थर्ड एनिमल है, सॉरी थर्ड ह्यूमन बीइंग है. नेक्स्ट इज प्रेशर्स आर सो हाई. सो ये तो ऑब्वियसली हाई होना था, एबिसल तो हाई था प्रेशर में. हेडोपेलाजिक इज मोर हायर इन प्रेशर. 14,700 psi होता है प्रेशर हेडल जोन का. Approximately, we know very little about what lives here, but few have been photographed because only 3 people have went there. It is very tough to visit and bring fish back alive. So it is not that you will go and bring the fishes and organisms from there. एक बार गए तो आना मुश्किल हो सकता है. So these were the important zones of the ocean. I hope you have liked this. इसका आप नोट बना लीजिए. And it is not easy to go for all the syllabus, all the topics, but these things are important for the examinations which I am providing. Make sure you have subscribed to the channel, hit the bell icon, turn on all the notification, so that whenever I will upload the video, you will get the notification. And yes, again I will remind you, join the Telegram group. We are conducting everyday quiz. So see you guys in the next video. Till then, keep smiling and believe in yourself.